How do you awaken your soul?
Welcome to Dwell and Delight, how breathing in His presence awakens the soul.
This is a 6-part series, all looking at the whole idea of how do you dwell and how do you delight. My name is Dan.
I'm Suzie.
Together we are
Doozy. So welcome to part number 1. Just as breathing sustains the body, dwelling and delighting in God's presence awakens the soul. As we slow down and abide in Christ and breathe into Him, we awaken the fully alive life with Jesus. Let's explore how we can do this.
Now, here's the thing. Oftentimes, people who are followers of Christ, religious, we think of more and more that we have to do. Where it seems like from the Garden of Eden forward, there is this story of humans dwelling with God, delighting in what they see in His creation. And sometimes we are busy trying to get everything done, but we need to slow down and dwell and delight.
And this becomes our foundation of our fully alive life. Now, I don't know if you can see, but up here we've got a picture of a piece of art that Dan and I are in the process of creating. It's taken lots of years to get this far, but right here, down at the root of the tree, for those of you who are watching on video, there is hearts, which represent love. It's in the love zone that we grow up and we blossom and have our fully alive life. And so when we're thinking about dwelling and delighting in God, that becomes our foundation, and that foundation is actually love.
In the Bible, John chapter 15, verse 9, it says, "As the Father has loved me," and this is Jesus talking, "as the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love." It isn't about doing, it's about remaining.
So one of the practices that we're going to have in this series, Dwell and Delight, is a practice of breathing. So it's breathing has to do with inhaling and exhaling. And it should eventually equal out. The amount you take in is the amount that goes out of your body. And maybe over a series, like if we're really anxious, for example, we might need to exhale a little bit more often, more frequently, for longer, and then have a short inhale to calm our nervous system.
Sometimes when we're talking to our grandsons, they get a little anxious, and we just say, just breathe. Just breathe. Sometimes when we're coaching people, their life is going a little out of control, and we say, just live. But it's that idea of exhale and inhale.
Some things go out and some things come in. So when we're thinking about breathing out or exhaling, this is the section of dwell. So this has to do, think, release, like what's going on in my presence, in my being, releasing, belonging, feeling safe, being at rest, communication and intimacy, intimacy with the people that we're with. So the exhaling and the dwelling as our foundation is the breathing out.
Now the breathing in, the inhale, that's delight. It's taking in the things that are around. It's noticing. It's receiving God's presence. And around you, there's beauty and there's dignity and there's meaning and there's community and there's supremacy or awe. And we need to take that in and delight in that.
So there is a section in the Bible from Psalm 37, verses 3-7 that goes with this series of Dwell and Delight. And we like to break it up in what we call a breathing prayer.
Now, this is something you can do along with us. We'll actually read part of the passage. And when you hear Suzie reading, you exhale. When you hear me reading, you inhale. And that, just meditate on the words as we're saying it. Exhale, inhale. And so before we start, you need to take a good inhale so you're ready to go.
For those of you who are watching, you're going to be able to see the green letters is the exhale, and the inhale is the orange letters. I will say the exhale portion, and Dan will do the inhale portion.
So take a deep breath now.
Trust in the Lord.
And do good.
Dwell in the land.
And enjoy safe pasture.
Take delight in the Lord.
And He will give you the desires of your heart.
Commit your way to the Lord.
Trust in Him, and He will do this.
He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn.
Your vindication like the noonday sun.
Be still before the Lord.
And wait patiently for him.
Once again, that was from Psalm 37, verses 3-7.
So part 1 of the series, Dwell in Delight, has to do with awakening your soul. There's an awareness of God's presence that we need to live in. And over the next 6 weeks or 6 sessions, we're going to begin to talk about how do we actually awaken our soul.
Yeah. So Psalm 46:10 goes right along with that breathing prayer we just did from Psalm 37. And it tells us to be still and know. And the verse says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. So when we dwell in delight, that practice of being still is going to help us to build that foundation.
Here's another verse. It's Psalms 27, verse 4. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. Do you see the priority there? It's not about doing, it's not about getting someplace, but it's about dwelling. It's about being with God, not just someplace when we die, but right now.
Tell us the story of when dwell became a theme and a picture for you.
I was in Uruguay, and I was walking at the very, very southern tip, so the southern area, and there was this walkway along the ocean, and you could watch the tides come in and out.
Beautiful.
And I was walking for probably 4 miles. I was really enjoying myself, but I was pondering this whole idea of dwelling. What is dwell? How do we actually dwell? Because at that time, Susie and I were living on a ship, and every 3 weeks we were in another country.
Moving.
And I came to this place where there was a railing, and over there was this large rock, bigger than any house. It was just a mammoth rock. And as I looked at it, I felt God was saying that rock has learned how to dwell. Storms, floods, probably earthquakes have happened, and that rock has remained there, perhaps from the beginning of creation. It has learned how to dwell. So for me,
it was like a big foundation.
Oh, it was mammoth.
Like you could have built something on that.
Oh, for sure, you could have. And when the tide went out, it sort of raised above the water. When the tide came in, it was under the water. But you could always see it. And
cool.
The message to me was, that's what dwelling is like. To hold on, to remain in the place where God's put us, no matter what comes.
So the concept of dwelling and delighted started in the Garden of Eden. And God set us up as human beings to have this as our practice. And in Genesis 3:8, it tells us a bit more about this. And it says, then the man and his wife heard the sound of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and they hid from the Lord among the trees of the garden.
Now the story here, I don't want it to come across as that when God shows up, we run and hide. That's not the story. The story here is that the normal practice was when God showed up, they walked with him. They spent time with him in the garden. But because of what they had done, because they had taken the apple when he said not to, they hid. They stopped dwelling, which changed everything.
So our question that we want to consider is, how do you awaken your soul? What is the soul? It's that inmost being. It might be your emotions, your will, your inner core of yourself. How would you describe soul?
Oh my. The soul is that part of you that we're part physical being and part soul. And there is that connection, that desire for more of God. There is this perspective of, I think maybe our curiosity also comes from that place of the soul. But oftentimes as we grow up, we're told, just focus on the physical world, because everything else you can't know, don't waste your time. But with God, he chooses to interact with us so that we will awaken that and become more aware of the one him that we can't see.
So Dan and I, as a couple, have crafted a question for each other that we try to ask. And it's taken us a while to find this, But the question that I give to Dan that allows him to speak from his soul, from something that's really important is, what did you accomplish today? Or what are you working on today?
Because I have to do something. I have to be doing something. And I acknowledge that I've done something, and it makes me feel, wow, I've actually accomplished something.
It makes your soul happy
That's
in a
very
way,
good.
right?
But the question I asked Suzie is, how is your soul?
And for me, that's a really big question. He knows now to not ask me that if he only has 2 seconds worth of time, because I have to look through every part of my being. How are my emotions? How is my social life? How are me and God? What's been going on in my mind? And like, you know, how does my body feel at this time? I have to think through all of those sections of my life. And then I have to process it out loud, and he listens really well. I have to process it all, and then I can see, how is my soul? But it's helped us with that question to know that we are such complex and unique and holistic beings. If one part of your life isn't okay, you might not be okay in your soul. And the question we're posing here is, how do you awaken your soul? And dwelling and delighting in the foundation of the love of God is something that really helps us to do that.
One thing we have to understand is we were created to live in the presence of God, not out of the presence, but in it. Being in his image means we want to be together with him. And life begins with a breath.
So life begins with a breath, like when we're born. And spiritually alive lives also begin with dwelling in stillness and delighting in awareness. It's like that breathing, the exhale and the inhale. The exhale of dwelling in stillness and delighting in awareness. We're going to explore this further in some of these different sections of this theme.
But the thing we have to understand is God's presence is already near.
We just tap into it.
He is not distant. We simply need to notice it.
Yeah, and I think that's like the crux of what it is, dwelling and delighting, so we can be in that notice space.
Yeah. So there's a few questions that connect to hopefully your story. And the first one is this: where do you feel spiritually rushed or distracted? Because oftentimes the reason we don't dwell is because we feel rushed, we're in a hurry, we're distracted. So I'd like you to try to pinpoint in your life, where do you feel spiritually rushed, hurry, too busy, distracted?
And we would
pinpoint that.
We would encourage you to journal this out, or talk to a trusted friend or your partner, your spouse, about some of these questions. Where do you feel spiritually rushed or distracted?
The next one is, what helps me notice God's presence? There's something about noticing. You're driving on the road and all of a sudden something happens out of the car and you're like, wait, what's that? I didn't see that before. That is notice. And we need to do that in the spiritual realm with God. We need to notice him. And there are things that should help you notice him. What is that?
For me, that noticing God's presence happens in nature. And currently where we live in Seattle, at the time of this recording, it's spring. And flowers that I've invested into my garden, planted, cultivating, are happening. The tulips are up and other flowers are beginning to emerge. I have a goal in my garden to have something come up or be available to enjoy beauty at every season of the year. I'm not quite there yet.
Always blooming at our house.
It's always blooming. That's the goal. And being out in that blooming and watching the development of this beauty and God's creation, unpredictable creation, really helps me be in God's presence. What is it for you?
So we've asked a little bit about where and what, and now I want to ask you a when question. When do you feel most aware of God? Like Suzie said, it's in her garden.
Yes.
Maybe it's on a hike. Maybe it's on your bike. Maybe it's when you're in dreamland and
Maybe
you're
it's
sleeping.
that special chair in the corner of your room, or when you have a cup of coffee or whatever you're drinking today, and you slow down enough to be present in that space.
Maybe it's simply apple crumble. But
Oh,
recognize
hint, hint.
where you are when you really notice God in his goodness, in the beauty, meaning, dignity, community, and supremacy of God.
So one of the things we want to do in this Dwell and Delight series is give you a practice to try. Maybe you want to try it one time. Maybe you want to try it every day until the next time you watch another or listen to another one of these episodes. And we give you another practice to put into practice.
So here's what you need to do. Sit someplace quietly and begin to slow down your breath. Now, this is not yoga or yogurt or Yogi Bear. This is simply a time to just dwell and delight. So we're just going to give you words to exhale and words to inhale, just as a practice towards drawing into that special connection with God.
So as you exhale, it can be like what we call a breathing prayer. You exhale a part and you inhale a part. So the exhaled dwell part is, God, you are here.
The inhale is, I am with you. So simply, Susie and I will go back and forth, and you'll hear the breathing, exhale, inhale.
And the I am is, God is with you. God, you are here.
I am with you.
God, you are here.
I am with you.
So repeat this for several minutes while being in that restful place.
Inhale,
space.
exhale.
Yeah, and being in his presence, dwelling and delighting as your foundation with God.
And I want to just encourage you to set up some
Rhythms.
A rhythm in your life that maybe it's morning stillness. Maybe your morning is crazy. Take 5 minutes and just push a pause button. Maybe it's taking a scripture, and maybe one of the verses we've already read, and just meditate on it. Just review it in your mind. Think about these things. Maybe it's a breathing prayer like we have taught you, or maybe it's simply a gratitude practice. If you don't do this, a gratitude journal is great. Just write down
you're
things
grateful
you're grateful for.
Right? And so this rhythm, you might want to find out what's best for you. Is it in the morning? Is it in the midday? At a pause you take? Is it in the evening? For me, my morning God time is my space that I am able to do that. Once my day gets going, I have everything of my day in. So I try to take it first thing in the morning. I journal, I read something from the Bible, I talk to God, I journal some thoughts and processes. And this is where I actually delight and dwell with God. And I find out where I am and get ready for my day.
Susie and I sort of sandwich it, that we have early morning practices before we really begin, and night practices. Everything else between, it's a lovely sandwich, but we try to practice the dwelling and delight at the morning and in the evening of our day.
Yeah, so this has been part 1 of Dwell and Delight. And the question is, how do you awaken your soul? And how do you give yourself the foundation you need for an awakened and fully alive soul?
So may you live fully alive as you love your life, your world, and your God. My name's Dan.
I'm Susie. Together we are
Doozy. Live fully
and love fully.